Manhattan Legal Services provides free civil legal services to low-income residents of Manhattan. Our goal is to represent people in those areas of law that most impact their ability to live their lives, to get income, to stay housed, to stay safe.
I think the strength of Manhattan Legal Services is the full service nature of its abilities. The fact that it can help low-income citizens with all of their civil legal needs is incredibly impressive. But when I think about what are the most pressing issues that the city is dealing with right now, I always come back to housing. Housing is so important because it really is the foundation of your ability to deal with everything else you have going on in your life. But if you don't have that, it really does exacerbate everything else that is going on for you. So while the housing challenges may not be unique, right now as we hopefully are coming out of the end of a pandemic, but we can see that's the primary focus right now.
The Tenant Rights Coalition works primarily with our organizing partner, Met Council, and we engage in different strategic campaigns in the Northern Manhattan community to address different patterns that we're seeing.
Manhattan Legal Services was getting calls from tenants in buildings owned by Barberry Rose. The owner is Louis Barbanel.
The 247 Audubon is owned by Louis Barbanel. According to the public advocates list, is the second worst landlord in New York City. He owns about 33 buildings in the Inland Washington Heights area, and most of these buildings have over 100 violations. Initially, what really got the tenants fired up to organize was there was a lot of underlying issues. So many repairs that hadn't been done in years. People whose apartments hadn't been painted in decades.
There was a whole pattern of harassment of tenants, which included a lack of repairs, a general lack of responsiveness to the tenants and their needs.
They started doing MCI's, major capital improvements, which are a way to repair the building and charge tenants for that. But many of the MCIs were baseless or not correct. They started filing cases against tenants who try to evict them. Those cases also tended to be baseless, and we actually were involved in settling many of them. Once we started getting so many clients in buildings from the same landlord, we met as an office to determine what strategy we could put together to fight against his actions and harassment that the tenants were experiencing. And so we created tenant associations and a Barberry Rose Tenants Union so that tenants could communicate, inform each other about the issues that they were all experiencing, and that way build that collective power to fight back against the harassment.
One of the clients that we have been working with at the Tenant Rights Coalition is Aralis and approximately 20 of her neighbors to address deplorable conditions in their individual apartments and the common areas of their building. The landlord had applied for a major capital improvement, which if granted would have resulted in a rent increase for all of the tenants in the building. So really the tenants wanted to push back collectively against this application for a rent increase.
It's an old building, and we have seniors, youngsters, and middle class. Over the years, a lot of repairs has been denied. Haven't had no maintenance for a good period of time. Our common areas were just breaking down. We have broken doors, broken windows, chips on the stairwells, elevators is not working. Tenants were trying to reach the landlord, and the landlord would not respond. It's been one thing after another.
When we first started working with the building, we were able to, work with approximately 26 tenants in the tenant association to immediately oppose the major capital improvement. We also simultaneously submitted a building-wide rent reduction order, complaining that common area conditions in the building which affect all the tenants were not being maintained by the landlord. That was recently granted. We worked with approximately 20 out of the 26 tenants in the tenant association to put together a housing part action to address the repairs. That was filed, and we now have an order from the court for the landlord to correct the conditions in the apartment.
When I found out that we had a stop on the MCI, we all were happy. We were cheering. A rent reduction for us, it's a miracle. Being a collective voice in our building has helped They're doing our repairs. We have a superintendent in the building. Thank you so much on behalf of our Tenants Association in Washington Heights and Inwood. We appreciate all your work and all the accomplishments that we have received. Thank you.
Manhattan Legal Services provides a tremendous service for all of us in New York City because they are part of the vital safety net for this city that we all love so much. There are a lot of people in Manhattan who are trying and working hard each and every day, but who have struggles, and they need someone fighting for them. And we can all rest assured because of the men and women of Manhattan Legal Services who are fighting each and every day for our city's most vulnerable citizens.